Today we're going to explore Binarhythmic, brand new, out a couple of days ago. It's took me a few days to wrap my head around it, and I thought I would go through it just to show what's going on. Basically, you have, let's start with number 2. This one is simpler, and I'll mute number 1. So I've set it to count to 4. Basically, what Binarhythmic is, it's a binary counter, and it starts at 0, then it goes to 1, then it goes to 0, 1, then it goes to 1, 0, then it goes to 1, 1. It's counting in binary, and it's one of the odd things that took me a little bit to realize is the display is usually you see this the other way around. So this is the 1s digit, this is 2, this is 4, this one is 8. And that's usually the other way around, although I could see why musically it makes sense to do it this way. But I realize this is not making sense, but give me a minute and hopefully it will become clearer. I'm going to start it playing now. So you can see every beat or every quarter note, because that's what I have my AUM set for in 4/4 time. So it plays a single note every time it counts the beat. Now I'm going to turn this one on. So that is, in a sense, every other beat. And I'll set that back to a rest again. Let me turn this one on. That is every 4th beat, because this is 1s, this is 2s, this is 4s if you're counting in binary. And let me turn this one on. That plays a note every 8 beats. Uh-oh, now we're out of notes. So I'll turn this one on. So right away, just from counting from 1 to 8, we can get some very interesting rhythms. And it's just a very simple setup. Let's try multi. What multi does is, instead of single, well, you can't really see the difference on that one. Multi plays that note every time a note is played until it hits it again, and then it stops. So you can get some really complex rhythms going. I've had a ton of fun playing with Binarhythmic. Let's go back to something simpler. You have control of notes, so you can pick which note is playing. You can set the velocity, you can set the somewhat randomness of the velocity, give it variety, gate length and gate variety. The gate type is what we were looking at, single, multi. One thing that I am not looking at in this particular demo is logic, but you can have and ors. There's 3 types of logic. So instead of playing every beat, it will only play when this and that, or this or that. You can go crazy with the timing of the notes and when they play. I usually leave this on gate type once I've set up my notes. So that's this one. So you have a basic understanding of it. Let's look at this one, which is same basic idea, but I have more notes. Whoops, there we go. So we're not counting to 1, 2, 4, 8. We're counting a lot further. 16, 32, 64, 128. So this number 8 channel will only hit every 128th beat. So I made it a kind of an odd note so it would stand out. And if you look at the red squares at the top, you'll see that it's sort of like water filling them up towards the right. And once they all fill up, it goes back and starts counting from 0 again. So at first, this didn't make any sense to me. Like they felt like kind of they were lighting up randomly. But then I realized if you think of it as filling them all up, so 7, and now it will fill up slowly. 6 will light up, and then it'll cycle back through. 5 will light up, it'll cycle back through, and then we'll finally get to number 8, and it will play its, there it was, that one magic note. So that's the basics of it. I have 2 instances running. They're just playing a pulse that I made up for, especially for sequencers in iCem, and that is the basics of it. So let's see it in actual usage in action. I'm just going to hit play. I have no keyboard attached. I am not playing this. This is all coming from Binarhythmic and various things in AUM. So let's take a look at this. Here's my notes, just various notes that I set up. And I made a couple of them slightly louder, but that's neither here nor there. 2 things to note: 6 and 8 are holds, and also 1 through 4 are rests. So what happens is, that's why nothing happened when I first pressed play, because it had to count all the way up to 16 before it started. And the beauty of that is that in the very beginning, nothing's happening. But once it gets started, essentially you're not triggering every note like I had in the previous example to explain how it worked. It feels like you're triggering this randomly in a way, because nothing happens for the first 8 until you count to 16, and then you have an event happen. And let's look at the events. 6 and 8 are MIDI channel 2, and 5 and 7 are MIDI channel 1. That's important because what I've done is I've set the piano. Here's the first sequence. And the second sequence is lower and less notes. What I've done here in AUM, I've filtered it so it's only channel 2 for both of these, but also I've set it so that it's listening for the note G4 here it is. And that's what, every time it hits number 6, it plays a G4. And every time it hits number 8, which is every 128th, it plays a B flat 3. Which is note 58. So what happens is, every time we hit number 6, it launches or unlaunches this Atom Piano Roll 2 sequence. Okay, next time it hits 6, it'll start playing right here. There it goes. So every 32 beats, that either launches or stops that particular piano sequence. So it's on now, and the next time it comes on, I'm pointing with my finger, you can't see. The next time 6 lights up, there it goes. It will start the first sequence. And when 8 lights up, the second sequence will play. So it's not random, but to the listener, it feels random because you have to wait 128 beats for the status to change. Here it comes. And there we go. It's now playing this sequence of notes, and that will play for a while. That's the other thing. It'll keep going for a while because it has to go another 128 beats until number 8 gets triggered again, and then it will stop. So you have this. It's not really generative because it's the same every time, because the count is always the same from 1 to 128. But when you're listening, it feels random because humans can't keep track of time that well. So you're playing every 5 and every 7, you're triggering a new note, and 5 and 7 are different notes, F4 and B flat 4. So this is Pippa, by the way, which is the voices that you're hearing. The piano is Ravenscroft, and I have Velvet Machine doing effects on the piano. So I've let this play. Once I finished it, I let it play for like an hour, and just on my iPad sitting next to me, and it feels totally random, and yet it isn't random. There's a pattern to it, and that is the beauty of Binarhythmic. I mean, in the description, they sort of imply it's for drums, and honestly, I haven't even tried that yet. You could get some crazy rhythms going if you do use the Logic and the multis, and with a drum sound app. I think that would be amazing, frankly. I haven't even tried it. This thing's brand new, but I love this because it's playing the music on its own, but the mind can hear patterns even though you can't quite understand them. When I first got it, I was like, what the heck's going on? It felt totally like a mishmash of unpredictable sound, but I slowed it down and I put the first four channels, so to speak, to be rests, and this thing is amazing, and I've only just started using it and have barely touched the Logic. See, we're starting the pattern over again, but that was a long time ago when it first got to this point. So, anyway, thank you for watching and listening. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to. Click the bell if you want to get notified when I put out another video. I have a Patreon. There'll be a link to it in the description. Would be awesome if people signed up for that. And again, thank you for listening. And this has been Binarhythmic.